I must just be in favorites mode or something right now, because I sat down the other day to make a list of all the favorites. Many lists, not a list. Many lists of all of the favorites of everything. For whatever reason, I tend to put things like this off because I have this block in my head that says that I can't put out a video of like favorite characters, favorite books, favorite worlds, anything like that, unless I have the full comprehensive list, which is silly because first of all, I'm someone who would have an endless list. I can't ever narrow down to like a favorite, 3 favorites. That doesn't happen with me ever. And second, it's going to change. I'm going to read more things, things are going to get added, other things are going to get taken off. So, I mean, it's a living entity of favorites. So if I were to wait for like the perfect, comprehensive, ultimate list, it would never happen. So the other day I was just like, why does it have to just be one? Like, it can be part 1, it can be, here are some favorites, and then later down the line, here are some more favorites. And it was like the most obvious solution. I don't know why it never occurred to me before, but now that it has, prepare yourself, because favorites are coming. Today, I want to talk about characters I love or characters that I find particularly memorable. This was the easiest list for me to just start, like I immediately filled a page and was like, okay, I need to stop and just do a video for now because I could just keep going. And I'm sure because I was just sitting down and like writing the first things that came into my head, there are probably some that are like way up there that I've forgotten or that are so obvious I haven't listed, like Elizabeth Bennet and Anne Shirley. Those aren't on the list. Those are obvious. And maybe we'll talk about like classics favorites or something one day, but this is just those characters that for whatever reason have wormed their way into my brain and I can't stop thinking about them, and there's just something about them that I love. They probably have some similarities. They're just my type, you know? We're vibing. So, after a whole lot of preamble about how I work as a favorites person, here are some of my favorite memorable book characters. In no particular order, except for maybe this first one is a little particular because she's always the first character that comes to mind when I think about memorable characters. And it's the only book that I don't have to show you of this whole stack. I don't know how I don't own a copy. It's kind of ridiculous as much as I love this book. But Merricat BlackWELL from We Have Always Lived in the Castle. She is the most disturbed, delightful little thing. Oh man, I just love her. She is like the definition of memorable. She's quirky, she's unique, she doesn't really read too much like anyone else, or I guess characters that read like her have come later and are maybe imitations of her. I'll be talking more about that. But there's just something about her. There are a lot of somethings about her. She's bad, but she's so good. Next I have Selin from the Star-Crossed series, which is incomplete and it breaks my heart. I've been looking at this one recently on my shelves, and I think this was actually kind of the impetus for the series because she's in my brain, and every now and then I just want to revisit her. So there's this, and there's the book Liar's Moon, and then nothing, and I want it so desperately to be finished, but I'll take what I can get. And I love both books, and I love her. She's also known as Digger, the Thief Digger. And it's just, again, there's just something about her. I'm not going to try to analyze the whys of all of these characters because who knows why. There's just something, you know? They just have that something that I connect with, that I really like. Something about their voice, who they are, what they do, whatever it is, there's just something, and whatever that is, Selin has it. Anya from the Birthright series. This is the 3rd book. It's the one I always reach for just because I love this cover a whole lot, and it's the easiest to find on my shelves. It's memorable. I always know where it is, and I love it a whole lot. You've heard me talk about Anya before, and of course, anyone that's been around this channel for a while is not going to be surprised by the inclusion of my cold fishes, my cold bitches. There's something about those slightly aloof, reserved, cold female characters that I relate to, that I connect to. I'm not going to analyze it or judge myself, I just really enjoy it, and Anya is a prime example of that. That said, don't let that description put you off if you think you don't like a cold character, because though she is reserved, I mean, she cares a lot. Everything she does is for the people she cares about, but there's just some people, some readers, seem to be put off by her a little bit. I love her. I love you. And it's along the same lines for the next two books, which the first of which is Seraphina by Rachel Hartman. Now, I easily could have put Tess from Tess of the Road on this list because, as you know, it's one of my favorite books I've read this year. I love Tess, die hard. Might like her more than Seraphina, but Seraphina is one of the most memorable and enjoyable characters I've read in quite some time. I know not everyone could relate to her voice. Some people found her, again, a little cold, a little aloof, whatever. That is so well suited to her. She's, well, is it a spoiler? Is it a spoiler at this point if I talk about what Seraphina is? I'll avoid it, but I mean, it's purposeful. The way she acts makes sense based on what she is, who she is. Regardless, though, she just has my heart. She just does. And so does Tulabane from the 10 Star series. This is book 2, Stone in the Sky. I talk about this series a lot as well. This is kind of my hallmark of what I'm looking for when I talk about books set in space and dealing with aliens that actually feel like aliens, actually feel foreign and interesting and not totally relatable. Cecil Castellucci nailed that. But beyond that, Tula herself is just, she's such a great vehicle for the story. She's such a great into it. I love her story. I love how she responds to the world and the people, things around her, and just, I love her. And along with her, the kind of main man, alien, Tornor, I think is how you say it. Oh, they just give me palpitations. Oh, so good. I like a unique character that brings something different, and for whatever reason, sometimes that something different is a mute character. Something I really like about a mute character, such as Sorka, if that's how you say it, from Daughter of the Forest. I don't know why I'm even bothering to show you this since the slipcover is missing, though maybe you can tell from how scuffed it is, how well loved it is, because I've reread this book so many times. She's fantastic. She's just fantastic. That's all there is to it. And similarly, and just that kind of being different, not a typical approach, I guess, to a main character, is the lass from Sun and Moon, Ice and Snow. She doesn't even have a name, and there's just something really intriguing about that. But also, I just really enjoyed her. I loved her kind of place in this world and how she responds to it, and just, there's something, you know, again, there's just something about her. Maddie from Titan Magic, I'm not going to give away what's different about her, but there's something different about her. This is possibly one of my all-time favorite characters. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to put it out there. She is definitely one of the most memorable characters I've read. Her story, her journey, based on who she is, it just hits all the right notes. All the time. I love her. I love that book. I love all of these books so much. So you're also kind of getting a favorites books. A lot of fantasy, a lot of favorite fantasies in this pile. I've talked about a few on this list that I regularly reread, and this is another one. It's The Princess Curse by Mary Haskell, and it is owing entirely to the main character Revka and her sort of adversary. I don't want to give anything away, but the two main focal central characters of the story just, I have talked before about how very much I need there to be a continuation of the series set a little bit older, late YA or even adult. I just need more. Mary, I need more. Is this video too long? Should I stop here? I have more books pulled out. Like you're not used to long videos around here. The next one is September from the Girl Who series, the Fairyland series. This is book 3. It was just already out, so I didn't even bother looking for book 1, but book 1 is the girl who circumnavigated Fairyland in a ship of her own making. September and all of the characters in this are very quirky, very whimsical. September is very strong and fierce and just delightful. I know that this series can be a little much for some people. It could be a little too whimsical, and at times, like, I totally get that, but the first book especially, just, September is just everything I want. Everything I want out of a middle grade fantasy little girl character. Just, oh my god, I would have just adored her when I was a kid, and I do, still, as a grown-ass woman. Next is Karoo from Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I really need to finish the series. I've talked before about my problem finishing series that I really love because then they're over and like I just can't. And this is one of them. I have the 3rd book. I've had it for ages. It was sent to me by a viewer who was just lovely and just was like, you need to read this. You just need to do it. And she's right, but I just can't. I love Karou. I kind of want to be Karou, if I'm honest. I kind of want to be her. Next, and one of the few men on this list, like, we've had a couple that were the male lead in the story about a female. This is the only one where he is the main character, is Jazz, or Jasper Dent, from I Hunt Killers. Again, I don't know why I haven't finished the series, because I really, really liked it. I think this is one of the more unique and interesting series out there. I think that Jazz has such an interesting perspective and is such a cool voice to follow in his very tense, fraught life. It's just really, really different and cool from what's out there, and I just think that he's a great vehicle. Jazz is a great kind of voice to be in for the story, so I really need to get back to the series. I know. Then we have F from the 13th Child. I talked about this recently, I think in a Backlist Love video, and I've been craving a reread of this lately too, partly because I have the next book, Across the Great Barrier, on my shelves, and it's begging to be read, and though I could just go like recaptains this and try to refresh my memory of what all happened in here, even though I feel like I do remember it pretty well, I kind of don't want to do a disservice to book 2 by not rereading this one, and also I just really want to read it. I don't know what it is about F. I don't know what it is. I just adore her. And actually, it's just some magic, some sorcery that Patricia C. Reed has, because I kind of feel that way about all of her characters, honestly. Next we have Flavia de Luce from the Flavia de Luce books. This is not one that I've read. I've really only read the first one, which is The Sweetness at the Bottom of the Pie, and immediately bought more of the books as they came out because I loved it so much. Because Flavia reminds me of Merricat BlackWEll. Now I said I was gonna circle back. I'm circling back. There's something about her. She captures a little bit of that like quirky weirdness. There are reasons. If you've read both, you'll definitely see the similarities in who they are and the things they do, but also there's just that something about her and her tone that does read a little similarly and a little sociopathically. Just saying. And the last one for this list, I for some reason forgot to pull off of my shelves, but it's Ketera and Lord Death from Ketera and Lord Death. So that's the book title and the characters that I love. There's just something, again, about them. They're just so fascinating, and their interactions are just like, oh, they're everything I want. So good. They're so good. And I feel like it's kind of an underknown book that not enough people are out there reading and loving and talking about, so you're probably going to see it on a Backlist Love video pretty soon. So those are some of the characters that most immediately come to mind when I think about characters I love and characters that are memorable and just can't leave my brain. I just can't quit them. I think about them a lot. They pop into my head. I compare things to them. I compare the characters to them. I'm like, you're no Anya. You're no Merricat. I would definitely like to know some of yours in the comments, or if you want to do your own video, that'd be super cool and I would love to see it. So you should send me a link if you do. Does anyone else miss the days of YouTube video responses where you could just like add it in and it would show up as like a part of the video and people could like just travel around, see the discussion, see what was going on? OG YouTube, I miss it sometimes. I do miss it. If you want to see more of this, more characters that I love, but also other things like worlds that I love, magic systems that I love, side characters that I love, animals in books that I love that don't die, because I really can't, my heart can't take it, let me know, because I have lists. Lists aplenty. But that is all for now. Thank you guys for watching this video. Looking forward to chatting with you in the comments about this, like a whole lot, because I want to discover all the amazing characters. But until next time, thank you guys for watching and happy reading. Also, I know I look like a mess today, but I threw on a fuchsia lip, so that makes up for it, right? Yeah, that's how it works.